Welcome back for Season 3 of All Things Excellence, where women in leadership and business come to be challenged to learn and to grow. I'm your host, Chelsea DeBruin-Colbert, clarity coach, Enneagram guide, community builder, and your go-to girl for becoming the most excellent version of yourself. Here on All Things Excellence, we are obsessed with shining light on women who are doing the deep work and playing full out in the arena. We bring you their brilliance, their stories, and the magic they bring into the world. This season, I'm determined to step into the most powerful, profitable, peaceful, and aligned version of myself yet. So buckle up, because I'm bringing you with me. When one woman rises, we all get permission to rise as well. If you're ready to grow, rise, and step into your next level with effortless ease and love being surrounded by women who are doing the same, you're in the right place. Welcome to All Things Excellence. Hey, All Things Excellence fam. Today, I'm here to talk to you about what I believe is a self-trust recession. We're hearing a lot about the fact that we're in this trust recession online, and it's because a lot of people overpromised and underdelivered online. And so it's created this trust recession where we don't really trust people, and we're not buying from all the big crazy people anymore. And we're doing more, we're following people longer and purchasing less. We're waiting longer amounts of time to purchase from them, making sure that they are who they say that they are and that they're actually going to deliver and do what they say that they're going to do. So there's that. But I also believe that we're in this almost like self-trust recession. And what self-trust is self-trust is, do I trust myself to do what I say I'm going to do when I say I'm going to do it at the level that I say I'm going to do it? And I was at a conference this last weekend, and somebody said that Mel Robbins recently said that women are currently horizonless, right? Like we can't see beyond the horizon, where we're so busy doing the grind and overextending ourselves that we are exhausted and almost becoming numb to being able to see beyond the horizon. And what I know that this does and creates is it creates this energy of we are always behind. And I think something that's happened since COVID, I don't know how we could go through COVID and literally stop doing everything but making cinnamon rolls and sourdough to almost living crazier, fuller, busier lives than we ever did before. Like somehow we did that, because then we also added this whole next level of social media inside of that, where we're watching social media and we're trying to we have far surpassed trying to keep up with the Joneses, watching everybody's constant kitchen remodels that they're either hiring somebody for or doing themselves, or the fact that, everybody goes on this wild, elaborate vacation every single time their kids have a break. I think it's just causing us to see all of the things that other people are doing. And I think it serves us really well, because even people in the tiniest places that normally would have never seen outside their town, they're getting to see a greater vision for their life and more than they ever would have ever been exposed to that they can have. And it's allowing them to have that and build that in these tiny remote towns of the country and the world. But I also think that it's causing us to get exhausted and to get overwhelmed, and we don't even know what to do when we need to be doing it. And we're not even quite sure what it is that we want. And y'all know that in my coaching, I'm the biggest fan of holistic coaching, like WHOLE, holistic, like looking at the whole frame of your life and making sure that you're in alignment in every single one of those areas. Because if you're not, then what's the point? If you're wildly successful at your job, but everything in your home life is falling apart, what's the point? But if you're really great and you're connecting and you're having all this wonderful intimate time with your family, but your finances are a disaster, so maybe there's this underlying stress, or you're not going after everything that you could be, what's the point, right? So I want to talk about this trust recession that I've been seeing, the self-trust recession. And where I really saw it the most was how excited I was when I entered the world today. So I just want you to know, I just came off of 4 days of being gone and traveling, where I flew into Kansas City. I was there for about 24 hours, and then I drove to Iowa, to my hometown, 4 hours away. And then I was with my family for about 36 hours. And so I'm really proud of myself, because I felt like I went into the weekend with so much self-trust. And the more we do what we say we're going to do, when we say that we're going to do it, our self-trust increases. And when our self-trust increases, our confidence increases, our self-esteem increases. And last week, I made sure that I was a woman of my word and I stuck to my guns and I stuck to my time schedule, which honestly, I usually do. But sometimes when you're getting ready to travel, it can go a little bit sideways and we can easily create excuses as to why we're not going to get something done and why we're going to procrastinate on it. And going into the week, last week, a week ago, I knew that one of the biggest things that I wanted to do was I wanted to have really great, juicy conversations that would lead to new clients. I wanted to set myself up that I had a few systems in place so when I went into the conference, everything that I learned, I could implement a lot easier. And then the third thing is I wanted to be able to show up well for my tax appointment because I still have my accountant back home. And of course, I could have delayed that. I could have rescheduled that. And like a lot of business owners in America, I even could have delayed that sucker all the way until September. But it was so important to me because I made a promise to myself that if I was going to go back for this conference and then drive back home and spend a couple days there, that I would have this appointment and that I would make it and that I would finish it. And honestly, I don't know why we all get like weird feelings around taxes. And so I always look at them and I have all the same feelings of disgust that everybody else does, every other business owner does, that I got to spend all this time in it. And then honestly, I start getting into it and I really enjoy it. But when I looked at how I honored myself throughout the weekend, first of all, going into the conference, I honored myself and I honored my mom who was with me and I honored the event. And when you honor yourself, you're going to increase your self-trust, increase your self-esteem, increase your self-confidence. So I honor myself because I flew in and I took an Uber. The only flight that I could get that I was willing to pay the price for landed about 24 minutes after the leadership portion of the conference started. But I had to honor the fact that I knew I couldn't fly in on Thursday. I had a day full of appointments and I was unwilling to move any of those appointments. I also was unwilling to leave my house at 3 a.m. to catch a really, really early flight and be exhausted the entire weekend because I've learned exhausted me isn't good. It's not good for me, but she's not good for anybody. She's not learning anything. She's not connecting with anyone. There are no juicy conversations being had, and there's definitely not any learning being had. So honoring myself through all the time, I wasn't going to land until 1:24 when the event started at 1 o'clock. Now, normally my mom she would have sacrificed herself and she would have said, it's okay, it's fine, it's fine. I'll pick you up. It's okay. We'll get there when we get there. And I said to her, you know what? I'm going to honor you because you work really hard to also be in this position where you get this bonus training. Go on ahead. Just let me Uber. It's no big deal. Don't even worry about it. And so I did. So when I chose to Uber, it actually worked out really well. My flight was, of course, delayed a little bit. And so not only did she get to make all of the 2 hours of training that she would have missed, but I actually got a little bit of extra quiet time. I got to prepare myself. I got to get to our hotel room early. I got to get settled in. I went to the grocery store. I got groceries. Y'all know how I feel about just really feeding my body and eating for energy. How about this? How about this? My friend Kendra and I, we talked about this. I saw her and we had lunch together. How about this, Kendra? Not just enjoyment. I believe that you can eat for energy and enjoyment. It's just that when you're eating for enjoyment, you need to really think about also eating for energy. And we were having lunch and I was eating the most delicious piece of salmon and I was having sweet potato fries because it's kind of like bar food where we were. And so I felt like I was honoring both things in doing that because I could have had really crazy, wild, greasy food, right? But I honored my dietary needs. I honored the fact that I needed to eat for energy because we were in the conference and I needed to be able to learn and grow and then drive 4 hours back home with my mom and spend time with my niece and nephews. So I needed food. The food that I was putting in my body in that moment needed to sustain me well for the next 36 hours after that. But also I enjoyed it. It was a really delicious piece of salmon. It wasn't like I was just eating a dry beef stick. So I got groceries that were what I needed to get, the water that I drink that's best for my body. And I allowed myself to, what other people see as over the top and extra is me setting myself up for success, right? I carved that extra time, that extra quiet time, got the groceries that I needed. so that way I could fuel my body. So I had all of the margin and the white space and the supplies to do that. And again, I honored myself in what other people see as extra and over the top. I know is setting myself up for success. So then I got to honor my mom through the weekend by showing up. It was a conference that I wasn't even on my radar necessarily to go to, but she really wanted to go and she wasn't going to go if I didn't go. And so I made that decision that, I just kind of said like, hey, you know what? I can do this and I can carve this time out for this. If I'm a woman of my word for the next 10 days leading up to this event, if I get everything done, then I can show up and just be there and we can have this time to connect. But also I honored her well because I was also engaged. I didn't just show up and be checked out about it. I was really engaged with the event and learning. And that's because I believe that absolutely any event and any person can change your life. It doesn't matter what I do. I always arrive to be changed because I do believe that we can learn from anything and from anyone. And so, the event, I honored the event because I do hold a high leadership position in this event that I was attending, and I respected that position and I honored it. I didn't show up as Chelsea, the Enneagram guide and alignment coach, but I showed up as Chelsea, that leader in sales, and honored that position and honored the fact that, there was a lot of people that wanted to talk to me and they wanted to learn from me and sharpen their skills and to show up as that best leader for them. So, one thing that I did learn from this place is at the conference, somebody said, our income and success will always be in direct correlation to the level of belief we have in the vehicle. And I'm paraphrasing that a little bit because I wanted to make it where every single person listening could learn from that. Our income and success will always be in direct correlation to the level of belief we have in the vehicle. So whether it's a career, you're an employee, or whether you're an entrepreneur and you have a business, what do you believe this vehicle that you're in can pay you? Do you believe in the vehicle paying you? Because my coach and I, we've been going kind of round and round on this, that is the question, can the vehicle pay me what I'm worth? Or do I believe in how much I'm worth? And when I do, the vehicle will pay me for that. So we've been kind of going back and forth on that. But we also have to believe that the vehicle itself, we have to believe in it. Like, how much do we believe in that vehicle giving us this life that we desire? Another thing that I learned this weekend was we've got to make space for God to show up. One of the things that I had said to my mom was, she said, well, I don't want to make you go if you don't really want to go. And I said, well, I got one question. I have one question about one thing. And there's one person that I want to ask this question. And I know I could send her a Vox message. I could get a hold of her phone number. I could email her. There's a million ways that I could get a hold of her. I know that. But I want to fly across the country and I want to look at her eyeball to eyeball, standing knee to knee, toe to toe. And I want to have a conversation with her about this one thing. Because I just believe that sometimes a face-to-face conversation has a greater impact than just over Messenger. So I'd be willing to fly across the country, and I would be willing to just so I could have this face-to-face conversation. Like, I'll hunt her down and I'll find her. Knowing that there was like 500 people at the event, I will hunt her down and I will find her. And I will tell y'all, we were sitting in a room of 120 people for a training that was specifically for the top level of people at this conference. And I'm sitting there next to my mom. And this woman that I flew across the country that I was like, I'll fly across the country to hear from her. She was training. And I was really excited that I knew she would be there. And I was excited I was going to flag her down after the whole training session was over for the morning and find her and ask her this one question that I had. And when the training was done, my mom jumped up really quick to go grab something. Well, in that moment, like the 30 seconds that my mom jumped up, when this woman was done training, I was looking down and I was writing some notes really quick. And I realized somebody else sat down next to me. Well, when I turned to tell them that that was my mom's seat, I realized that it was this woman that I flew across the country for. And I think it's tiny moments like that where we have to make space for God to show up. We have to ask him for the ridiculous and say, I want to have a really good, juicy, intimate one-on-one conversation with this person. And I'm willing to inconvenience myself and fly across the country to have this. That when we do our part, who will show up? My parents have always taught me that we work like it all depends on us, and we always pray like it all depends on God, right? But first, we got to do the work. Growing up on a farm, we got to till the lands, we got to plant the seeds, and then we have to have faith that God's always going to bring the rain and the crop is always going to grow. And God forbid all the elements and the natural disasters and the weather will align so the crop will go and grow, and then it'll grow really, really well. And so making space for God to show up and just seeing how literally in the 30 seconds that my mom got up in a room of 120 people, 120 seats, she selected the seat right next to me. And when she did, I looked at her and I thought, well, I'm not telling her that's my mom's seat, because I know that my mom would be just fine. And about 15 seconds later, my mom plopped down in a completely different empty seat right in front of me. And I said, "Oh my gosh, Mom, I'm so sorry." And my mom turned around, and my mom's friends with her, and she said, "Oh my gosh." She realized like that was my mom's seat, and she said, "Oh my gosh." My mom's like, "Please don't move. Please don't move." She literally flew across the country because she has a question for you. And she turned to me and she said, "Did you really fly across the country because I have room for you?" I said, "A question for me?" I said, "I did. I did." And you right now are just the evidence that I need to get a little bit more serious and a lot more crazy about the things that I'm asking God for and the places that I'm asking for him to show up. So we did get to have that conversation. The next thing I learned is that you are the woman someone else was hoping to see. I got to have yet another really great, awesome, juicy conversation with somebody that I love there. And, she was hoping, like, she didn't know that I was coming, but then once she saw me, she was really hoping that she would get to have this conversation. And then there were a few other women throughout the weekend that were excited that I was there, couldn't wait to have a conversation with me, and just forgetting that. Like, sometimes we forget that we are the person that someone is praying and hoping to see, that they show up, that they get to have that next life-changing conversation with them. So, I really gave myself the permission at that conference to only absorb what was for my good. And I'm so proud of myself because I stayed true to that regardless of, comments or opinions or what anybody thought, which I don't know. I would be unaware of anybody making a comment or opinion. But I think sometimes we can pre-decide what comments people are going to make, what opinions people are going to have, and we adjust our actions accordingly, and we do what we think we should do because God forbid somebody make a comment. And I'm so proud of myself that I gave myself that permission to only do what was best for myself, only attend the parts that were best for me, and but also honor that event, not making a weird show about it, but just quietly disappearing to the bathroom and then maybe to my room to have a little bit of quiet time. So I left that event on Saturday night, and then I was able to roll right into family time for the weekend. And if y'all have not listened to episode 106, when you're done with this, you got to listen to episode 106, because episode 106 is why I woke up this morning after having this head down, all out weekend, Friday through Monday, landing last night at 5 o'clock. I had to sit there and get a little bit of work done, waiting for my husband to pick me up. I didn't want to Uber. I just wanted to pick me up so we could go to dinner, and it was fine. I had some work to do. So we didn't get home until probably 7:30 last night. So we left the house at 6 a.m. on Friday, and I got home on Monday night at 7:30. And episode 106 explains why I was able to bounce out of bed this morning and get right back into my routine. Because not only do I believe in brain dumping and time blocking when I'm at home, I take those same skills when I go into travel. So from Saturday night at 9 p.m. until Monday at noon, that was my time block that I was going to be in my hometown. I needed to see my brother Adam's family, my brother Brett's family, my Newman family, my parents, and my grandparents. 5 different groups of people that I needed to spend good, high quality time with, good intentional time with separately. And let's not forget, I had to take care of the whole tax situation. So how can I do that? How can I see these 5 different groups of people all while honoring my sleeping, eating, working, and then in my environmental needs, and seeing all of them well? How can I do that? Well, I went into the weekend with that same time blocking thing. I looked at, them. So for example, my brother Adam, his kids, if I am there before, I've learned that I cannot be around them on a school night if they have to wake up and go to school the next day, I need to leave about 5 o'clock so that way they can start winding down, they can eat their dinner, they can do their nighttime routine, and they can get to bed on time and sleep well. Otherwise, if I'm around, they just stay too wound up and excited. And so, I looked at the schedule and figured out, well, what would be the best block of time for me to spend quality time with them? And I knew it was going to be the moment that they were home from church on Sunday from about 12 to 5. I also knew that my Newman family was coming home from vacation on Saturday night/Sunday morning. They were flying back from being gone for a week. So not seeing them until Sunday night when they'd had time to get home, unpack, I knew that that would be best. So I blocked that time out for them on Sunday night. Now everybody else had to go to work and school. So I knew that blocking out Monday morning for my taxes and my grandparents would be that best time block, that early morning until noon. Then my other brother, I knew that his kids, they're night owls, they're great. But I also knew that I knew that they had to go to like a late service on Sunday. And so I would be able to spend really good time with them on Sunday morning. And so I arrived to their house at 9 o'clock on Saturday. We played our little hearts out with Uno and this learning app thing that they have, and then we went right to sleep. And they're really good at that. They're really good at just winding down quickly, and they listen well when I go, okay, enough is enough. Like, we've got to go to bed. We have to sleep well tonight, so that way we can wake up and have a great day tomorrow. The boys are really good at that. And so, taking all of that, blocking that out, I use that weekly plan sheet that I talked about on episode 106 that you can get access to. And I looked at who the people were, how much time I wanted to spend to them, the most ideal time according to their schedule, but also then honoring my schedule and the fact that, I'm on Central Time, but my body is on Pacific Time. Knowing how do they live? How do they eat? Did I want to be there during a meal, or was it something that I wanted to avoid? And just looking at all of those things. And then most importantly, completing that tax appointment and staying a woman of my word to myself. Because the fact is, when we talk about self-trust is built in the tiny, quiet moments, but it shows itself in the big ones when you're getting to the end of months and years. Okay? Self-trust is built in the tiny, quiet moments, but it shows itself in the big ones when you're getting to the end of your months and your years, because you're either hitting your goals or you are absolutely bombing them. So when it came to, my taxes last week, pushing through and finishing them, the event, not overextending myself, visiting home, sticking to this strict schedule, which is hard, right? Everybody wants you to stay a little bit longer, and everybody wants you to come a little bit earlier. People realize you're back in town and they want you to come and see them. But I woke up so rested today, and I was able to hit the ground running with back-to-back appointments and complete all of them with ease, and even having the energy to be able to really write out what I knew I was going to write this out last week. And that honestly excited me even more, just knowing I was going into this weekend so prepared, and that I would get to come out and share this experience about how well I executed it and how I was able to wake up today and hit the ground running. And most people would be tired for days after they had a really hot and fast, wild, all over the place weekend where they slept at a different place every single night. And another thing that I had to do yesterday, I had an appointment with my coach. So we had that in the airport before I boarded the plane. But I, of course, strategically scheduled all of that. The coaching appointment was already there, so everything else had to be built around that. And on my appointment yesterday, we talked about one of my markers. I'm not even kidding, y'all. This was the thing that we had to talk about yesterday. And it was one of my markers is that I'm at high risk of being really inflexible. And I had an interesting moment where my mom and I were actually talking about this as she was driving me to the airport. My family lives a little over an hour away from the airport, so we had a lot of time. And I had an interesting moment with my dad yesterday morning where he was trying to pressure me. He was trying to pressure me to go do something that I really didn't have time to do. And I was saying to my mom, I know that I come off as inflexible. I know that this report that I keep taking, this test I keep taking shows that I'm inflexible. But I am inflexible because I have thought it out so well, and I stick to my guns knowing that if I am too flexible, next thing I know, I'm not a woman of my word to myself. I'm not getting anything done. I'm not hitting my goals. I end up barely spending any time with anybody. I end up spending the time that I do spend with people, it's with the wrong people at the wrong times. And I've found that by doing the work, doing the research, structuring it out, everyone's actually happier in the long run. But it comes across as me being really inflexible. And my coach said, she said, it just so happens. She said, yes, do you come across as inflexible? She goes, but here's what I would say is that you are far above average in your ability to plan things well and you get stuff done. You have no problem getting stuff done. And I said, that is so true. But here's what I believe, y'all. I believe the reason that I have no problem making a plan and working the plan and getting stuff done is because I am wildly connected to the vision. I am wildly connected to what is the experience that I want my family to have with me when I'm back? What is the relationship that I want them to have with me? How do I want them to feel when I'm in their space? How do I want them to feel about the time that we spend together when I leave? I think about even the thing on the taxes, like how do I want to feel about my business? What is the respect that I want to give my business? And I feel like how we honor our taxes by getting them done and getting them in on time. I feel like I'm honoring my business. I'm honoring that position of being that CEO of my own businesses. And I know that all of the tiny little bitty moments, the millimeter moments are what add up to the big ones. And so I've been helping clients with this a lot, helping them create really simple systems and helping them with some accountability to increase their self-trust. And I want you to know if you're listening to this and you're going, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Because sometimes we look at setting a goal and we think about it forever, but we never actually go after the goal. And the reason is, as what I think it is this self-trust recession, this low self-trust where we know that we could. We know that we could do it. You're like, I know I could lose 50 pounds and get in shape and have abs. But do I really believe that I will? Do I really believe that when it gets tough and the margarita and chips and queso are setting in front of me, am I going to eat them or not? When I'm exhausted and I don't want to roll out of bed at 6 a.m. and get a workout in, am I really going to do it? Or am I going to fold and I'm going to sleep in? And that's what self-trust is. Do I believe that I'm going to do what I need to do to actually hit the goal? And so I've been having the time of my life lately, working with people on this holistically, all areas, everything from creating more margin and white space in their life, getting it together in their physical fitness, looking at their career, looking at the metrics. Maybe they need to spend more time with family. Maybe their friend life is off. So whatever one of those 8 areas it is, or all of them, looking at that from a holistic standpoint, creating systems, working through their plan, their week sheet together, and then setting up these metrics and accountability with me so we can help them increase their self-trust and in the long run, increase their results. So just so you know, that is available. I hope you took a ton away from today. I hope it encouraged you and just inspired you to realize that at the end of the day, if you're not doing what you need to be doing when you need to be doing it, there's a connection that's missing. And I want you to know that I'm always here. Slide into my DMs on Instagram. We can have a really good, juicy conversation about it where we figure out what is that missing link? Why are you not? Have you not connected why it's vital to you that you wake up in the morning and roll out of bed and get your workout in and take your creatine and you eat for energy? For me, y'all know, one of the people that I got to spend my weekend with was my 95-year-old grandma. She's baking cupcakes from scratch and running up and down the stairs and pulling them out of the deep freeze and giving me giant boxes of these cupcakes that I brought to my brothers at the shop for all of their employees. 95, running up and down the steps, right? And I think of her every day, every decision that I make when I don't want to work out, when I want to eat a greasy taco, when I don't want to take care of my brain, when I don't want to honor my sleep, like honor my sleep schedule, when I don't want to do any of those things, when I don't want to take care of my body. I think about her. Or when I want to be lazy and it's like, I just don't want to care about the money. I want to be frivolous with my money. And I think about my grandparents being 95 and 97, still living at home. I think about how they worked really hard and they bought high quality things, but they were also really frugal with their money. They saved well, they invested well, and how life is financially really easy for them still at 95 and 97. And I think about 95 and 97-year-old Chelsea every single day, and I have that connection. And I know that that helps me to be a better woman of my word to myself, and which has all those little moments added up to explode my self-trust. So slide on into the DMs, give us a like, give us a subscribe, do all the things. And I would love to work with you if you want to go even deeper. We have some group coaching that we're going to be starting in the All Things Excellence fam. And then of course, as always, I have one-on-one coaching available. If you're like, girl, I need more than a group. I need you to work with me one-on-one. But also if you're like, man, I would love that. Just a little bit of group accountability, some iron sharpening iron women who are just kicking butt and taking names and wanting to actively grow together with other women. We got it. We're getting that group started up here coming up in this next month. And I would love to have you apply and be a part of it. So just slide on into my DMs on Instagram and let me know. But I hope you all took greatness away from this today. I hope you just sit down and give yourself that chance. Give yourself that chance to make a plan and stick to it, even if it's in the tiny things, even if it's in a tiny, simple thing of saying, every night after dinner, I'm going to walk for 10 minutes. Those are the little moments that our self-trust is built and exploded. So thank you again, All Things Excellence fam, for listening, and we will talk to y'all next time. Thanks for listening to All Things Excellence. If something landed with you today, I'd love for you to follow the show, share it with a friend, or leave a quick review. It helps more women find these transformational conversations. And if you're ready for support with your next step, or needing someone to stand in the gap with you to figure out what that even is, I'd love to create that space for you. And my intro clarity call is a great place to start, because life is too quick and too full to have to figure it out alone. Until next time, All Things Excellence fam, thank you for listening.